And I'm back. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Hey, I did notice a bit of chat going on while I was away about the glacier and the thing about glaciers disappearing. You couldn't hear the music. Okay, sorry, I thought you would be able to hear it. Oh, okay, that's quite weird. Alright. Whatever. There was no music. Okay, I thought there was music. I mean, there was music, and I thought the thing would pick it up. Apparently not. Life goes on. Life goes on. I was just going to throw in about the glacier. New Zealand has two glaciers, Fox and Franz Joseph, that are near one another. They are, to the best of my knowledge, the only two glaciers in the world that are growing. It's actually the English pronunciation of glacier. I used to say glacier, but my girlfriend, who I went with to New Zealand, is English, and she always said glacier and basically beat me into saying glacier. Now, so the big answer with all the problems with climate change, why is Franz Joseph and Fox glaciers growing? Because it's all actually about climate change and global warming. Hi, Savvy Baby. So, what actually happens, the dominant theory as to why those glaciers are growing so much is Australia is beset by drought at the moment. We're like in a 20-year drought, the worst drought in recorded history. And I mean, even the Aborigines who have a long oral history say this is the worst drought this country's seen, you know, in thousands of years. So, what happens is dry winds come out of the western desert and they suck all the moisture out of, like, Queensland, New South Wales, down to Victoria, and they suck all the moisture and take it out to sea, and then the temperature drops at sea, which forms rain clouds, which go over to New Zealand, and New Zealand has been having record rain and snowfall for the last 10 years. These glaciers are formed by a huge snow bowl, where it's just been dumping snow for 10 years, and it's feeding these glaciers. And the funny thing was, when I was there, the guide showing us the glacier said it takes 10 years for the snow that falls in the snow bowl up the top to actually reach the front of the glacier, and for the last 10 years they've been getting record snowfall, so he thinks they're going to have to move the car park because in the next 10 years the glacier's going to grow like buggery, and it's going to come right out to where the car park is now and overrun the car park. I just thought that was really funny. They are literally making plans for moving the car park because they think it's going to get overrun by the glacier. The glacier. And the other thing Toronto Maple Leaf was saying about my video when I was there, the other unique thing about these glaciers in New Zealand, besides being possibly the only ones in the world that are growing, they are literally right next to a temperate rainforest. It's absolutely unique. There is nowhere in the world, there's like all these trees and then a glacier. And I walked onto the glacier where that photo was taken, and you have to walk through this temperate rainforest, which is quite humid. So you work up this huge sweat as you're hiking through this temperate rainforest, and then you reach the surface of the glacier and you have to put on the warm weather gear because the temperature just drops like a stone when you step out onto the ice. So it is absolutely worth going to New Zealand. If you get to Australia, it's really cheap to just hop across to New Zealand, and it is a very cool place to have a holiday. So it's absolutely worth it. Weather's unpredictable in New Zealand, but it's really worth going there. It's the weirdest thing to hike through this rainforest and then step out onto this massive thing of ice. It's really trippy. But it's good fun. And also, because there's constant little waterfalls coming off the mountains from the snow melting, so there's these little waterfalls coming down rock faces all the time. And it's really clean water. It's like just melted snow. And so we were getting it in our drink bottles. The guides told us it was safe. And it was the nicest tasting water I have ever had in my life. Fucking awesome. Okay, Toronto Maple Leafer asked me, how'd the trees do when they lost their leaves in the middle of summer when the temperature went up past 40 degrees? Well, they did fine. They never grew leaves back, but they're fine because they dropped the leaves. That's a little defense mechanism for the trees. Spring could be interesting because I don't know how the trees will react to such a brutal summer and not much rain in winter if they don't get much rain in winter. So it might be interesting. They might not get many leaves in springs. Oh, it freaked you out, Toronto Maple Leafer. I've never seen it. And it freaked me right the hell out. It was like a critical survival thing the trees did, just dropping all their leaves overnight. It was fucking weird. But yeah, but we had a pretty weird summer. It started off really mild, and then we just had this blistering temperature, this burst of blistering temperature in January, February. I love snow. I've been to the snow once in my life when I was at school, and I've seen snow on mountaintops. When I was in New Zealand, I saw ice and snow, but as depressing as rain might be, we desperately need rain. We have been in drought conditions for basically 20 years. We need to get above average rain constantly for about 5 years just to break the drought. We need to get some of our water reservoirs are below 20% capacity. I wish we could take rain from Florida and Seattle. In the last 20 years, our water supply in Melbourne has dropped by about 80%. We've lost 80% of our water supply, and it hasn't come back. So we are close to in critical trouble. Yeah, Tamage points out Queensland now has a lot, which is reassuring because parts of Queensland were actually worse than Victoria and Melbourne. Parts of Queensland had like no water, and they finally got the rains back. So we will hopefully eventually get our rain back. Hey, you know what I'm going to do now? This was fun when we did this yesterday. 20 questions.